Thank you. That was beautiful. And I love when we do the drum circles. There's such good energy from that. Felt like a great meditation. I am going to change things up a little bit. We're not going to do the meditation right now. I'm going to do the talk. And we're going to lead into the meditation at the end. I always like to just change things up, keep us on our toes. So what we are going through in this book is how to pray without talking to God. And today I'm going to be talking about keeping a daily prayer and meditation practice. And you know how when you get invited to the party, you find out about the what, the who, the when, the where, the why, and all the details. So today we're kind of going to have a little bit of a party, and we're going to talk about the why, the what, and the how. And we're going to do some activities together like you kind of do at parties. I was at a party yesterday, and this was one of our activities. Pete was also there, so he was part of the activity and the party. So we're going to do some activities at the end in our meditation that we talk about. And it just so happens that we're going to have cake today downstairs afterwards to celebrate the time that we spent with having the Kloibers here in our life. And they were very special to us. I knew this was going to happen. We are super, super sad to see them go. But honor the time and celebration that we had with you. And so I'm glad that that's going to be part of our little party that we're having. Okay, so let me try to get this. Oh, hey, it worked. I was experimenting with some different things with the PowerPoint yesterday, so I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go. So first of all, we're going to talk about the why of having a daily prayer and meditation practice. And I'm going to go through, within the why, we're going to go through some reasons for prayer, maybe some reasons why we don't pray, and some reasons to kind of get into praying instead of not. We're going to talk about the power of prayer, and we're going to talk about some kind of fruits that come out of having this daily practice. And so, first of all, a few weeks ago, Barry talked to us about how evolving our definition of God and our understanding of God, and evolving it past the superhuman in the sky, or the invisible parent, or the Santa Claus or the genie in the sky. And so we talked about kind of evolving that and not talking out to someone, because if we believe or if we are owning what we say we believe here, and that's that we are one with Spirit, then talking out to someone that we maybe were taught as a kid kind of defeats the purpose. We're saying that separateness by speaking out. And so we talked about knowing our inner divine nature, and we talked about knowing that we are part of an original blessing when we were born instead of taking on original sin. So sometimes when you evolve your definition or your understanding of God, and you realize, okay, I'm not talking out to someone anymore, I'm claiming my inner divinity, well, then there can be some confusion around prayer. Well, why am I praying if I'm not talking, I'm not getting any answers, what's going on? So some reasons that I've come across for not praying can be, maybe we're confused about the purpose since we're no longer talking out to someone. Sometimes, and I know this happened with me when I was first kind of coming around to evolving my definition of God, feeling unworthy to claim our divine identity, because I was, went through a period where I was talking out to someone and begging someone, and now I'm saying, wait, I'm one with this? I don't feel like I can claim this. This is weird. And so the last reason that I want to talk about is sometimes we can be disillusioned when we don't see any benefits. So I'm praying and nothing's happening. So what's going on? Why am I praying? So some reasons to pray that kind of dispute these reasons for not praying are, so if we're confused about the purpose of prayer, the purpose of prayer is to assert our divine identity. We're no longer talking out, we are claiming and accepting our divine identity. And to dispute the unworthiness, yes, you are worthy, first of all. And the purpose of prayer is not to fix all your flaws or your self-perceived lackings. The purpose is to claim your divine nature and say, okay, I'm not trying to fix myself. I'm not trying to do anything except for claim what's already in me and know that and rest in that. And, so if we're disillusioned about it because we're not seeing any benefits, I'm praying, nothing's happening, it's not to make something happen. It is so that we can be that divine nature and that divine identity and live that out in our circumstances in life and throughout life. So the rest of the why, so that was our reasons. Now the power of why. And I have a couple quotes. Charles Fillmore, our founder, about prayer said, "Prayer is the most highly accelerated mind action known." And in his book, Teach Us to Pray, one who has mastered even the primary technique of prayer has made contact with the spiritual ethers that connect all of our minds. I loved that quote. And Reverend Linda, who wrote this book, says that daily prayer and meditation practice builds our spiritual consciousness. It leads us to a heightened spiritual realization, which supports us living in a spiritually conscious way. And some kind of fruits of having and accepting this daily practice, Murdo Fillmore promises us that your mind will become keen, awake, alert, illumined. Your body temple will be filled with new life. You will be inspired with practical ideas that will enable you to succeed in a larger way. So, to me, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like a life that I want to live. So it's enabling us with tools to go out and live this divine life and this calling that we have all received. It helps us to claim our divine identity in really tough, confusing, hard times. Okay, now let's go on to the what. All right, that was the why, or maybe our reasons for not. The what, we're going to talk about maybe some obstacles that we've experienced in having a daily prayer life, and then some tools to kind of help us with those obstacles. So pretty much every excuse that you could give me for why you don't have a daily prayer and meditation practice can be summed up in three things, or kind of lead back to three things: time, restlessness or being fidgety, or misguided expectations or beliefs about what is supposed to happen in prayer. And so let's go through these a little bit. Time, I know at some point in my life I've had all of these obstacles and overcome them and maybe sometimes come back to them. And so let's go through these a little bit. First of all, time. Thinking, I'm so busy, I can't possibly devote this time every day in my life. So the reality of time is this: it waits for no one. We cannot see it or hold it. We can spend and invest in it, but we do not own it. We can kill it, but not create it. It's elusive as well as noticeable. We cannot save time today and bank it for tomorrow. And everyone gets 24 hours. We all get it. So a simple remedy to fix the time thing is schedule. Schedule, schedule, schedule. We schedule everything. We schedule doctor's appointments. We schedule our sleep. We schedule our eating time. Whether you realize it or not, you're on a schedule. And so what's wrong with putting 10 or 20 minutes into your schedule for prayer and meditation? If you're having a hard time with that, and you understand, which I have done this, okay, I realize that there is a simple, logical fix to this, but I'm really still having a hard time. The struggle is real, and it may be that time isn't your issue at all. If you're feeling constrained, hurried, or pressed, there could be a deeper spiritual issue. So just scheduling something isn't really going to fix your obstacle of time. It's possible that you have a long-standing habit that it really has nothing to do with time, and you've internalized messages of worth in relation to your accomplishments. If I do XYZ, then I will be ABC. If I do all these things, I'll be a better parent. I'll be a better worker. If I do all these things. And so then the busyness gets involved because, I've got to do all these things, or I'm not going to be this person that I'm supposed to be. So it's just take things a little bit deeper. If time is what your obstacle is, take things a little bit deeper. It might not be time that's your issue. And with restlessness, so the excuse can be, I just have a hard time sitting down and focusing, and I'm fidgety, and I'm uncomfortable, and okay, so simple remedy for this, don't have caffeine before you sit down for your prayer time. Don't down an energy drink. Do it when you're at a calm place in your day. So if you're having a hard time with that, and I'm doing everything right, I'm still struggling to do this. Another thing is, and we're going to go into kind of the format of a good prayer practice, spend more time in the first phase of prayer, which is relaxation. So you're taking out your caffeine, you're doing it at a time in your life, or a time in your day when you're not as anxious or fidgety, and you spend more time in relaxation in that first phase. Sometimes some of us are going to need more of that. So if that simple remedy is not fixing it for you, think about, okay, well, maybe the fidgety and feeling anxious and being uncomfortable, maybe that's not the issue. Maybe, again, it's an underlying issue. Are you afraid of going deeper and seeing yourself? Do you feel incapable of living up to being the light of the world? Do you fear that your self-perceived character flaws or any unloving behavior is going to be exposed in prayer, and maybe that's why you're having a hard time? So just something to think about. So if we're having misguided expectations or beliefs, okay, I'm not experiencing any benefit. I'm doing this prayer thing and meditation thing. I'm not seeing any results. Okay, so nothing happens before or after. I don't get answers. So the simple remedy for this is stick with it. Be persistent. Make a 21-day commitment that you will do this every day, same time of day, fit it into your schedule, and then see what happens. It might not be this miraculous. Let's get real about the expectations. You're not going to spend two sentences of I am affirmations. I claim my divine identity. And then James Earl Jones' voice comes over and clears everything up with his narration, and all of your insecurities and all of your misunderstandings are cleared up. I can't promise that's necessarily going to happen. So the reality is, stick with it. Make a 21-day commitment and see where it goes from there. And odds are you're going to see some changes. If you don't see some lightning bolt or aha every single moment, over time, you're definitely going to see a benefit. So if you're struggling with the commitment part of it, maybe it's a deeper issue. Does this sound like anything you can relate to? I am not enough. I am missing out on something. I'm spiritually deficient because nothing's happening. So again, let's be realistic about what prayer is. If we need to go a little bit deeper, then we deal with that underlying issue. So with that in mind, let's move on to some tools that can kind of help us with these obstacles. And Denise talked about these a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not going to go into them a whole lot, but more just remind us of what we have at our disposal. So claiming and asserting the 12 powers. Hi, Leonie. For those of you online, that's my daughter yelling at me. Apparently, I'm talking too long. So we can claim and assert our 12 powers. We work on reforming our language. Reverend Jenny talked about that. And we talked about in our group this weed and feed concept for affirmations and denials. I loved that because for us to bring in new stuff, we've got to take out the old stuff that's not serving us anymore. So we're denying power over things, and we're taking that out, and then we're planting new seeds that are going to help us. Okay, so now for the fun part. What we're going to talk about is the how, or a format to what you could have for your daily prayer. Now I say it's a loose format. I think this is a really great format, but do you have to do things exactly like I talk about today? Absolutely not. You have to do what works for you. And so the first phase is relaxation. And so for example, would you go out and run a marathon with no training, no warming up or anything? Some of you, like my father watching online, are thinking, who goes out and runs a marathon? Besides your husband. Okay, so maybe that's not a good example. So would you go on a long trip without packing snacks, money, and filling up your car with gas? Probably not, because you're going to end up frustrated, irritated, in a bad situation on the side of the road. So relaxation, time invested in relaxation, is what's going to help us get to this realization of what our divine nature is and live from that. So for relaxation, we're going to prep our environment. Try to diminish as many distractions as possible. You do not have to have this space in your home or in your office or in your car that's absolutely pristine and perfect. It just needs to be clean, tidy, comfortable, what works for you. So to relax our body, maybe it's inspiring music that works for you. Maybe it's doing a yoga sun salutation. For me, I have lots of spine issues from an accident I was in. So for me, stretching and getting comfortable and getting some pain relief is what helps. Breathing consciously. We breathe unconsciously all the time. We don't even realize what's going on in our bodies. So taking your concentration into your breath and bigger breath changes, this actually releases more oxygen into your body and helps you to focus. Clearing our mental tension. You do not have to solve all your problems and do all your chores before you pray. I promise you the chores are still going to be there. The bills are still going to be there to pay. And you may get some answers in your prayer time. So what I do for this is I have a little piece of paper or a journal, and if something comes to me that's bothering me, I write it down. Okay, I'll deal with you later, and it's out of my mind. So the second phase, concentration. So relaxation leads us into concentration. This is where we're going to turn our focus towards the 12 powers, claiming I am using the law of mind action. Maybe I am affirmations, you do a mantra of whatever I am affirmations come to you. Aligning yourself with divine identity, focusing on that. If you're still having a hard time relaxing, go back to the relaxation phase. Do a little bit more in there. So sometimes the relaxation and the concentration part can take a long time, and you think, oh my gosh, okay, I relaxed, I got in the mood, I said some affirmations, these I am things came to me, I claimed, okay, I'm done. Yay! This is where you don't want to stop, because the breakthrough is coming after this. So meditation, yes, meditation can absolutely be a standalone product. You can do it by itself. It's a great thing, especially guided meditations, visualizations, helping to slow your mind and your body down. But the meditation that I'm talking about within prayer is getting us to the realization of our divine identity. And this is not exerting effort to try to get into meditation, but it's withdrawing your effort. Effort is only going to frustrate you more. The amount of time that you spend in this silence is not important. It may be only a few seconds, and that's okay. Be gentle with yourself. This is a practice. It's not necessarily going to be absolutely perfect every time. But out of this silence is where our deepest realization of who we are and what we are to live is where it's going to come. And so going into realization at this point, so you've spent a little bit of time in the silence, in this non-awareness state. Maybe it's only seconds. That's okay. Realization is when the truth becomes real. You believed it, you kind of believed it before, now you know it is true. And it shows up in your life. Even if it doesn't manifest immediately after prayer, it's going to manifest eventually. You could record your thoughts in a journal. You can just kind of linger and ponder your I ams. But out of realization comes our lived truth. So I would like to share an example of my own life and realization. I am a sexual assault survivor, and I hid this from the world and tried to cover it up for about 19 years. And when I finally started getting help and counseling and support group and telling my family what had happened, for those 19 years, I was a sexual assault victim. And I was living my life like I was a victim. And so when I started getting help, my counselor told me, you are not a victim, you are a survivor. And I thought, well, what? It didn't make sense to me. And so I was using this prayer practice. I happened to be in a book club reading this book at the time that I was going through this. Isn't that convenient? And so I started using this, and I started claiming my divine identity and saying that I'm a survivor. And I didn't believe it at first, and it definitely wasn't manifesting in my life at first. But I stuck with it, and I kept affirming it. And eventually, I started accepting it, and I started realizing it, and I started living like I was a survivor. So stick with it. That's my point with that. And then on to appreciation to kind of get things, to kind of end things. So this is a thanksgiving, a gratitude. When you regard things as valuable, it increases their value. And we're not talking about a lazy appreciation would kind of be, oh, thank you, God. Thank you for peace. Thank you for my house. So we don't really believe in the separate God. We believe in a God that we are one with. So saying thank you, God, or saying thank you out there doesn't do a whole lot. So I have an example to kind of play around and experiment with words, not outside, but instead, how blessed I feel to know that I am wise. Everything in my world appears right and in its place. I now see through the eyes of divine order. I appreciate my growing realization of divine identity. Isn't that a beautiful appreciation? So I put together a little picture that I felt made sense for me about these steps to prayer. So we have to start with relaxation. We have to relax to be able to concentrate, and then we concentrate to be able to meditate. We meditate to be able to realize who we are, and when we realize, then we appreciate. So if you take this circle and you put it over your life, or if you're in a really tough situation and things don't make sense, take this circle of prayer, put it over that, and I guarantee you're going to experience some benefits from it. It's going to make things easier. It's going to help you to see things in a different light. So what we are going to do, I have enlisted some help of a very trusted friend, and what we are going to do together to close things out is go through some examples of these different phases. And so these are some things that I like and I come up with, but you do your own thing. So today you're going to kind of do things that I appreciate. And so first we are going to go through some relaxation. So if I could get, and I'm going to kind of walk you through this. I'm going to try to not be too educational about these examples, but try to actually have this be a really good meditation for all of us. So first of all, I would like someone to kind of prep the environment, to turn down the lights. It's pretty warm in here, so I don't know how much we can cool that down. But it would be really appreciated if possible. And that's what I mean about prepping the environment. So if you need to get up and stretch, like I do, feel free to get up or just do it in your chair. Whatever you need to do. Drum is first. So I get really good energy from that drum circle. So I'm going to have Pete help us out with some instrumental music with the drum, and then in a little bit with the hand pan, which is one of my favorite instruments. And so, yeah, go ahead. As you listen to the drum beats, concentrate on your breath. Instead of shallow breaths through your mouth, take a deep breath into your abdomen. And release whatever needs to be released for you. And take another deep breath. If you need to have body movement with that breath to help you, by all means, do whatever feels right for you. Another deep breath into your abdomen and out with release. And now I want you to visualize a chalkboard or a dry erase board. And everything that is on your mind, just write it down in your mind. Write it visually on that board. Anything that you're thinking about that you have to do today, anything that's bothering you, write everything down on that board and get it out of your mind. And as you finish writing down, now I want you to pick up an eraser and erase everything, because right now in this moment, those things do not matter. And hopefully you're starting to feel more relaxed. And now we're going to go in to concentration. Continue to focus on your breath. Focus on the music, if that helps. As you breathe in through your nose, notice what your body does with the air. When you breathe in, it's cold air. When you breathe out, it's warm air. Your body does that for you. Take a deep breath in and stop at the top of the breath. And then release that warm air. And stop at the bottom of the breath. And then take another breath in and notice that cold air coming in. And then your body changes it and you blow it out and it's warm air. And just take notice of that small, subtle change. And now take your fingers of your hands together and place them all together. And then gently pull them apart so they're just barely apart, but they're still close to each other. And feel that energy in between your hands. Your hands aren't touching, but you can still feel that energy going through there. That is your divine power in you. That is your divine nature. I'm going to go through some of the 12 powers and some of their characteristics. And whatever sticks out to you, whatever speaks to you today, hold on to that power. And make up an I am affirmation that works for you. The power of love is the power of attraction, harmony, and unity. The power of strength is steadfastness, stability, endurance. Faith is perception, expectation, and assurance. The power of wisdom is discernment, discrimination, and evaluation. The ability of power is self-mastery, transformation, and confidence. Maybe you need the power of release today to cleanse and cast off. Or do you need the power of imagination, conception, creation, and vision in your life? The power of will, determination, commitment, and willingness. And order, adjustment, organization, and balance. Zeal, enthusiasm, intensity, inspiration. And lastly, the power of life, animation, vitality, and wholeness. Our divine nature is peace, joy, abundance, and goodness. And as you continue in your concentration and continue in the knowing of your divine nature, I invite you to go into the silence. And as you come out into realization, ponder those I am affirmations and ponder what came to you, what realizations came to you. And appreciate those things. What can you appreciate? What can you draw your attention to appreciate? Because what you appreciate is also going to appreciate you. And you're not limited to words for appreciation. It can be a feeling, it can be an energy that you direct towards someone or to a situation. And as you start to come back to the room and into this realm and this reality, feel your breath again, feel your hands, open your eyes. Take another deep cleansing breath. And I can tell you that I appreciate all of you. And I appreciate Pete's beautiful music to help guide us. And I thank you for taking this journey with me today. And now we are going to sing the new